Welcome back to Utility Sports. Was not expecting to go live here on Sunday morning. Happy Father's Day to anyone watching who that applies to. And wow, just an incredible turn of events that we were just not expecting today. A situation here where Desmond Bane gets traded kind of out of nowhere. I don't think Desmond Bane was on a lot of people's radar as a potential trade candidate this offseason, but of course with Orlando going as all in as they did here in this trade package for Desmond Bane, it makes sense why Memphis did ultimately decide to move him. We're going to give my trade grades in this live stream. Of course, if you're following over on Twitter, links in the description, by the way. You'll have already seen my trade grades as it happened, but very, very crazy stuff. I want you guys to comment your trade grades down below. B says, can you explain that 2026 pick is the order of the teams Wizards, Grizzlies, Suns? Yes, we will make sure that gets covered today. B, Logan here says, love it as a Magic fan. I'm glad that you like it, Logan. Other than that Suns pick, they shouldn't be valuable. We're going to go over to, we'll pull up that the situation with that too, just so everyone can be fully aware of what is actually happening with that. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying. Josh here says Orlando C- just based on how many picks they get traded. They got traded for a superstar package. Capybara here says they better hope those picks don't amount to anything. We'll definitely see what happens. But this trade obviously is a crazy one. Josh here gives Memphis an A+++. They have the ammo to get KD. It might not be KD. They might be looking at other options long-term as well. Angelo says, I send you Twitter posts. Sorry, Angelo, if I missed them. I try my best to keep up when everyone sends me stuff. So, Angelo, just send me another one at some point today, and hopefully I'll see it. Iceman says, Lakers got Luka for one first-round pick and a broken-down 32-year-old Anthony Davis. Well, here's the thing. Anthony Davis is a lot better than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Cole Anthony. So, there's a couple ways of looking at that, but I obviously was not a fan of that Luka trade either for Dallas. Tyler here says, dude, immediate upgrade. Let's go. So we're going to talk through all of this, obviously, in today's stream. Orlando, just to recap again, is sending Memphis Cole Anthony and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and picks number 16 in this draft, a first-round pick via Phoenix in 2026, a 2028 unprotected first via Orlando, a 2030 unprotected first via Orlando, and a lightly protected pick swap in 2029. So all in all, a ton of assets going out the door here to Memphis. And the Grizzlies, a team that limped into the playoffs this year, got eviscerated in round one by the Oklahoma City Thunder in a very uncompetitive sweep. The Grizzlies probably looked at themselves and said, one, we're not good enough right now. You look at how badly they got beat by Oklahoma City in the first round. Taking a step back for them might not be the worst thing, especially when you get this good of a package for Desmond Bane. I do want to talk about some potential options for Memphis continuing going forward here. But Bane in Orlando, I do think, is a good fit. And like Brilliant here, it's a big overpay. Card here is giving Orlando a B- and Memphis a C+. Sean here says another big move is coming for the Grizzlies. I definitely think that they are in position to strike if they want to. Farzi says the Giannis trade should gut any team of its roster and its pick package. How can a Giannis trade even be possible? This trade definitely does kind of put into perspective what these packages might look like. Nick says Memphis should go after Lowry. I'm not sure Memphis wants to go after another big. I think that they need a little bit more speed and ball handling talent in their backcourt, which is one of the things I'm a little concerned about here for Orlando. While Bane brings them a very, very, very good shooter and a very nice offensive player, I don't know if he's the caliber of guard that they needed in their backcourt to really maximize this team. And that is one of my biggest concerns for them in this trade. If we go back over here, what I'm going to do now is put on the screen quickly. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you are enjoying. Here is the pick situation, and this is specifically the 2026 first. We had questions about what this looks like. The Magic have the option to swap 2026 firsts with the Suns. It's the less favorable of Suns and Wizards. So I'm going to tweet this out as well. I think this was a really good question, and I wanted to make sure that this got answered immediately in the stream today. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the swap option, or the 2026 Phoenix first is a swap worst choice between Washington, and Phoenix. So essentially, it's the worst of the two selections that Memphis will now have in 26. Very likely a solid pick to own. I still think very good asset for a team to own. Welcome everyone to the stream. Hopefully you guys are enjoying. 170 people watching live already. Really do appreciate you guys. Quality Dividends here says Grizzlies selling now. Futures of Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja seem uncertain. So this is the thing, right? This is where they have options. You know, some people are talking about, well, do they go in and make a big trade? Do they go after somebody? Or do they go and sell? And I think that this is a really interesting situation because the Grizzlies now have these extra 4 firsts to work with. They have that swap now in 2029 as well to work with. They have a lot of their own future draft picks as well. They don't have their pick this year. They used it to salary dump Marcus Smart. But if you look at what they have in terms of their own draft pick control moving forward, they're really loaded up with 8, 9 tradable first-round picks at this point. And as a result of that, they could actually push their chips in on a player if they wanted to, or they could continue selling and maybe try and take the Oklahoma City, San Antonio Spurs approach, the Utah Jazz approach, where you have so many draft picks over a 6-7 year time span that your odds of hitting on 1 or 2 of them become very, very high. So could the Grizzlies look to trade Jaren? Could they look to trade Ja Morant? And if they do, if they're getting 3 or 4 first round picks in both of those trades as well, all of a sudden, instead of having 8 or 9 tradable firsts over the next 7 years, you're looking at a huge plethora on top of that, where you're looking at maybe 16, 17 tradable first round picks, very similar to what Oklahoma City has going forward. B says Grizzlies won, but it's still a good trade for the Magic. Catapults them into a top 4 team in the East next season. Now they have a core of ages 26, 24, 23, and 22. This is one of the situations I want to talk about here, though, with Orlando, and specifically Orlando Magic cap table is what we're going to pull up here. We're going to go over to Spot Track. Thank you to Spot Track. This is what I'm concerned about here. Let's go to their multi-year cap table, actually. This is what I want to look at. This is why I'm a little concerned here. Franz Wagner making $38, $41, $45 million. Desmond Bane, look at his number. Upwards of $40 million for the next few years. Jalen Suggs, he is on a descending contract, but he's still making a pretty penny for sure. And then Paulo Banchero, look at his cap hold. If he makes All-NBA next season, which there's an okay chance that he could, all of a sudden you're looking at a guy making $40+ million, and you have a ton of money committed to these 4 guys. Now, they're 4 very, very good players, like B is saying here, but I have real concerns about their ability to actually keep this team together, especially now at a draft pick deficit. While they do have some solid pieces still in place, their roster just got very, very expensive. They were already slated to be a first apron team this upcoming season. They did not get cheaper by making this trade long-term. They got maybe a little bit of salary saving this year. I think that number was actually pretty close, dollar for dollar wise. But what the long-term ramifications are of this for them from a cap table perspective is likely being a luxury tax team every single year at the worst, which Orlando's typically not been a huge tax spender. And then you also look at the likelihood that maybe not just a tax team, but really an apron team. And let's say that, you know, when it comes to paying other guys, like when it comes to a Goga Bitadze contract down the road, are they going to be able to keep him? What are they going to be able to do with Tristan Da Silva long-term? Caleb Hughes, like, some of these guys aren't really that big of deals, but you're starting to realize, like, oh, this team maybe doesn't have all the depth in the world to be okay with losing a core player here. Like, if they don't keep Goga Bitadze long-term, that's scary. And look at Wendell Carter's number. Wendell Carter's number jumps up. If there's a center that gets traded this offseason from Orlando, it should be Wendell. Trying to move him on this money would be, I think, smart for their long-term cap table for sure. And I would probably just roll with Goga and Mo moving forward. But I don't know. This is I have some real concerns about Orlando because of this. But I don't know. I'm concerned. Jim here is saying sell for Memphis. I do think this was very good for Memphis as well. Aaron, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you in here. Griffin says, will Triple J cost more or less than Bane? Need my Pistons to make it happen. He'd cost about the same. And the reason I think he's a better player than Desmond Bane, but I think this was an overpay for Bane. So I wouldn't think that just because Bane got 4 firsts that you're going to get 6 firsts or something for Jaren Jackson Jr. I just don't think that was going to happen. So Iceman, it's not just 4 more rookies. It's the fact that you lost all your trade flexibility because of this. So that's the thing, Iceman. Having those picks isn't just that they were making that many moves. Or that they were going to draft all 4. It's the fact that they can't make a better trade down the road, or they don't have like flexibility now. Like they're kind of stuck with their roster, like unless they trade one of Banchero or Wagner or Suggs, which obviously would be counterintuitive to this whole entire thing. Brandon, thanks for the compliment on my hair. Appreciate that. Brian here says Magic made a whoopsie. He isn't worth that much. I agree, Brian. I think that's a whole lot to give up for him, for sure. Ethan says, feel like it's just the picks that's valuable. The players were just salary, and the picks aren't great value. Besides the 2028 and 2030 pick, B+ trade for the Magic and A trade for the Grizzlies max value. That's what Ethan gave his grades. Mod says, wish my Bulls got 3 firsts for Kobe. Toronto says, this makes Orlando elite IMO. I do think Orlando's going to be really good. For people saying that they won the trade, I wouldn't go that far. But I do think the Magic will be very good. I just have long-term concerns about the cap specifically for them. And if we go back over to Twitter and look at my trade grades specifically, I gave the Grizzlies an A+ and the Magic a C. And the reasoning here, Memphis gets unrivaled draft capital for a second, maybe third-tier caliber of player. While, yes, Desmond Bane has taken meaningful steps forward each of the last 2 years in his own individual development and progression as a player in the league, he's not a build around 1A, even 1B championship caliber of player. If you go look at what Milwaukee had, for example, in 2021 when they won an NBA Finals, Chris Middleton was a very, very good number 2. I'm not even sold that Desmond Bane will be that for a team. I think Desmond Bane is kind of a 2B, maybe 3A option for a team. He's a really good player, and his skill set fits very well here in Orlando, so I'm not trying to rag on him too much. But I think for this caliber of player, Memphis in a vacuum did very, very well in this trade. And they open up a lot of long-term flexibility, not only just from their cap table, which getting KCP, which is a shorter-term contract, Cole Anthony, a shorter-term contract compared to Bane. They also get a ton of trade flexibility because of all of these assets. They can stick and pick. They could trade some of these assets out for another big-time player like we've talked about. They could decide to trade, hey, maybe we want to just tear it down. The West is really competitive right now. We're really not in a position to compete. And with the uncertainty around John Morant long-term and some of the issues that he's dealt with off the court the last couple of seasons, and then you also look at Jaren Jackson Jr., who has been historically a pretty significant playoff dropper, maybe trading both of them would be good for Memphis. That's where they have some of that flexibility of which way do they want to go, how do they pivot, which decisions do they make over the next 24 months, I think will be very fascinating. And then Orlando, I mean, they go all in. They really do go all in because of the salary cap and the CBA and how far they're pushing their top 4 players up salary-wise into that apron status. It's a lot of money. They're going to be committing over $120 to $130 million a year for 3 guys. And another team that's kind of done similar things recently is Phoenix. Now, their guys were on Supermaxes. It was a bit more spendy. There's obviously a big difference between those two things. But if Banchero makes All-NBA, that $128, $130 million for those 3 guys all of a sudden turns into about $140 million. And then all of a sudden you're starting to see, maybe we can't keep a Goga Bitadze. Maybe we can't keep a Wendell Carter. Maybe we can't keep a Mo Wagner. All of a sudden you're starting to run into issues with your depth along your roster. And you don't have draft picks to supplement as well now because you traded your pick 16 this year. They still have pick 25. Maybe they hit on that pick and find a depth piece. But, I'm just not sure Bane lifts their team enough to warrant this level of pick compensation and long-term financial strain. And that's really what my long-term concern here is. It's not even as much about just the draft picks, which I thought was an overpay to begin with. It's about the salary that the 4 guys will make. And I do think that's an important thing to tweet here now. So you guys are going to, I think one of my favorite things about going live is when I tweet, so you guys can see my live thought process as I'm going through it. Orlando Magic cap table for just likely cap. Let's do instead of cap table, cap allocation for just Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, Desmond Bane, and Jalen Suggs over the next 4 seasons. 2025, 26, 2026, 27, 2027, 28, 2028, 29. So we are going to try and estimate here on Paulo's cap number, just so that everyone is aware of where I'm getting some of these numbers from, okay? So just roughly here with what the expected numbers are for these three guys going into next season. I'm going to pull up my calculator here too, just so everyone, so that I get the numbers right here. 662 plus 36.725 plus 35 plus 15.335. So this year they are committing $125.722 million final year of Paulo's rookie deal. And then we will take just their long-term numbers into account here too. And again, this will be, let's put this at future years are estimating non-Rose rule max for Banchero. So that number will, I mean, it's going to be pretty significant, roughly estimated, because I'm not going to have the exact dollar amount because the cap is going to change and pivot a bit. But the numbers going forward will be very, very high. 41.755 million for Wagner, plus 39.446 million, plus 32.4 for Jalen Suggs, plus roughly, I would guess, 39.5 probably for Paulo. Oh my gosh. 153.101 million. That's insane. This is honestly insane what these numbers are looking like. 44.847 plus 42.166 plus 29.6 plus, we're going to do, what did we estimate? About 39 million. We'll do probably 41.4 for, this is insane. 158.013 million. You're starting to see how this isn't going to work out very good long term for Orlando from a cap perspective. 47.94 million plus 44.886 million for Bane, plus 26.8. Thank God Suggs is on a descending deal, because that's the only way that this is at all working at all. Plus 44.0. 163.626 million. Massive cap allocation for just 4 guys in the harshest CBA in NBA history. 4 pick. This is not pretty, to say the least. Not pretty, in my opinion. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content so far. Let's go back over just so we can lay this out for everybody. 328 people watching. And again, this right here is my biggest long-term concern for the Magic after making this deal. They are, this is again estimate numbers here for how much Banchero would make. This is a lot of money committed to 4 guys. And are they good enough to win a title? I don't know. Zach says, don't love the move for the Magic. Bane isn't a great shot creator, at least advantage creator, mainly just a play finisher. I agree, Zach. Now, the nice thing here, I do think for Banchero, is this gives them a guy who can play finish off of him. And of course, he and Wagner do so much of the ball handling there. But this is a significant commitment to that. And I don't know if they're good enough. I just, like, it's just not the exact. And Zach, just like what Zach's saying here, like I was saying a few minutes ago, like Chris Middleton, it was a much more skilled isolation player, could play out of the mid post, could win off the wing, and could handle the pick and roll at a very high level next to Giannis, which was something that Milwaukee went to quite a bit in their 2021 championship run. And it's just, quite frankly, not something that I think Bane can do nearly as well. I do think Orlando's very good, but I do think there's some real long-term concerns here for me. Which teams should be interested in Jaren? San Antonio would be an interesting Jaren Jackson Jr. team. And Ja Morant, I don't know. The Ja market's weird. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I don't know what the market is going to really be for him. Maybe like Portland or Washington. I could see being two teams looking at him and saying, well, it would be worth grabbing. Michael here wants to know what teams could be interested in trading for Jordan Poole. I don't think Jordan Poole is going to really have a market. I don't think he'll get traded this offseason, to be honest. Alan here says Desmond Bane makes so much money. That's why the Grizzlies moved off of him. I completely agree. Yeah, I agree, James, that the Magic couldn't score, and I do think Bane helps them score, but my question is, does he help them enough score enough to warrant 4 firsts and that big of a salary commitment? Well, and like Zach's saying here, it's dangerous to have a big 3 that isn't elite. Well, the thing is, they're paying a big 4, and that's what's really scary to me. I think that this is very similar. I'm going to tweet this too. I think this situation for Orlando is very similar to the Cleveland Cavaliers. 4 huge salaries can make you a very good team, but it pins you as a likely apron spender if you are committed to that roster. I just think that there's a lot of long-term risk here, honestly, for all things considered. I just have a lot of real concerns here, and it really all mostly stems from this. And this is the thing. Important note: if Banchero makes All-NBA next season, this cap allocation gets even steeper for Orlando. Scary. Could get scary fast. Like, I really think that they could be in a lot of trouble. If Banchero makes All-NBA next year, it'll be like a great thing, right? And I have a video up on this and how I think that's actually a problem in the CBA. But it's the rules, so you have to really take that into account. They're not going to be over 100% of the cap yet, but they're going to be a lot. Like, they're going to be like literally bordering the cap number this year is $154 million. So the nice thing about that is when they agreed to the contracts, like you're looking at the estimates of their salaries, like they're not like actually going to be that crazy high, because as you go further and further with the numbers jumping, it helps your cap picture. So that's just the reality. Brendan says, does this reset the pick amounts in trades for players, or do teams see this as an overpay? I don't think this is something. I think NBA fans always overreact to this. Like when Gobert got traded, they're like, oh my gosh, what's the market going to... The market's always individually set for each player. Like Mikal Bridges got traded for 6 first-round picks. Karl-Anthony Towns got traded for Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, and 1 first. Like the picks in the deal are always subject to the quality of the picks and which teams are actually making that trade. I don't think people are going to say, oh, well, Orlando gave up this for Desmond Bane. Now we have to give up 8 firsts for, this guy, right? Like, it definitely doesn't mean that someone's going to get traded. Like someone like, if you're looking at Giannis, for example, I don't think this isn't like a barometer for Giannis. Like a Giannis trade was always going to be something crazy, like 6 firsts and swaps and good players, like something always crazy. Aaron here says Anthony Simons trade suitors. I thought Orlando was the perfect fit for him. I did like Orlando for Simons. I'm really not sure what a Simons deal would look like now. Maybe Memphis if Portland wanted to go in on Ja, that could be something. Or if they wanted to go in on Jaren, that would be an interesting possibility. Curtis, thank you so much for the 5. Let's get W's for Curtis in the chat. I'm going to try and get a special confetti in here for you as well. W Curtis in the chat. Appreciate you a ton. Says trading Wendell Carter for Bobby Portis would that help Orlando's salary? Yes, it would long term. It would actually increase their salary by about $2.5 million this year. I believe Bobby Portis making just about $13 million, and Wendell Carter's making I think $10.2 million. So it would increase their salary. a little bit this year, but long term it would reduce their salary. So, Curtis, thank you so much for the vibe. Really do appreciate you. Let's see what Ezio here is saying. Grizz could be gathering picks to try to acquire Trey Murphy or Denny Avdia. Trey Murphy to Memphis would be really good. I would really like Trey Murphy there a lot. Defense and shooting, Triple J fits with H-Town. I don't think Triple J is as good of a shooter as everyone else seems to. Good Hair says, depends what picks, though. I wouldn't trade a 2026 pick. Again, just for a reminder on the ticker there, we do have the picks that Orlando gave up, to Memphis down there below. So a lot of stuff down there. Alfred says Grizzlies got a haul. Yes, they did. Alan says every GM in the league said the Luka trade was ridiculous. Why do you think the Grizzlies would repeat that? I don't think anyone said that they would repeat it. Oh, you're saying like trade for Luka? Yeah, no. Like Jake says, not a good trade for Orlando. Giving up 4 picks for being the 5th best team in the East is not a good look. I think this is going to be the hard thing too for them is, are they flat out inherently better than Indiana? Are they flat out inherently better than New York? Are they flat out inherently better than Boston? Maybe next year with Tatum out, but long-term are they? I still am not sure about that. I do like what Orlando has. I think this Magic team is very, very good, but there's some really good teams in the East, and I think it's going to be a challenge to be better than them. Wake Up here says Grizzlies fleece Orlando. That's what I think as well. B says, do you think Austin Reeves' value went up today? Yes. Austin Reeves, the tricky thing with Austin Reeves is he makes so little salary that sometimes trading a small salary player can be hard to get value back because you're not going to get a collection of pieces in terms of players back. So I think that's one of the real difficulties here. Angelo, thank you so much for all of your support. If Shea got traded, that would be crazy. I don't think that'll happen though, luckily. So, but yeah, a lot of crazy stuff going on. And again, this is the scary picture with rough estimates here. Like this is where Orlando is committing really ridiculous money. Really ridiculous money. Chris here says those unprotected picks past 2028 could be juicy. I think Paolo bolts home to Seattle when they return in 2028 or 2029. Well, the one thing about that is in 2020, with Paolo signing a rookie max extension this offseason, probably, he will actually be under contract through 2030 at the bare minimum, probably. So, Alan says Jaren shot 37.5% from 3 on high volume this year. What do you mean? I mean, look at him in the playoffs. Look at what he does. I mean, it's just like really, I don't know. In the postseason, this is his. I just pulled up the numbers just so everyone. He played the least minutes he played in a game in the postseason this year in the 4 games that it took for the Memphis Grizzlies to lose in. The least minutes he played was 28. The most he played was 38. This is his 3-point attempts per game in the playoffs. 4, 3, 2, and 2. Okay. He shot 11 threes and he made 3 of them in the postseason. And this past year, the 37.5%, I think is a real outlier. The year before he shot 32%, the year before that 35%, the year before that 31.9%, the year before that 28%. I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock in an outlier season, and especially when it comes to the playoffs, he's not a shoot first perimeter player anyway. So Duck here says, think they have a better team than the Knicks currently constructed. The Bane trade is bigger than you think. I mean, it makes them a lot better. I don't understand. I don't know. Like I keep saying the same thing, but they're really good. But to not be better than the Knicks were just in the conference finals. Now we'll see what happens with the coach, right? Like they really don't have a head coach, so we'll see. But Iceman says, Sheldon, don't forget that Paulo is 22, Franz is 23, Suggs, Anthony Black, Tristan De Silva are all still young. The team has years to grow together. I agree. That's a good point. But again, my concern here is still the shooting. Like, yes, you have one really good shooter now in Desmond Bane. I don't think you have an elite pick and roll ball handler. I don't think you have an elite fourth quarter, give them the ball, spread the floor type of offensive system here. And I still think I think the best bet here for Orlando is to win on their defense and to to win 111 to 108, 107 to 103. That's the type of games that they're going to want to get into. And when you have to try and play with Indiana and their pace, you have to be capable of scoring 120. And when you have to play against New York and you have to try and limit Brunson, I mean, good luck. I just think there's going to be a lot that they have to overcome yet. They're really young, I agree, but and they did deal with injuries this year, but I do think there's a lot of limiting issues for them when it comes to winning 4 playoff series in a row to win an NBA Finals, and that's what I'm discussing mostly. Like, are the Magic going to win 50 games this year? Yeah, I would pretty comfortably bet that, but like, are we going to grade the trade based on their regular season win-loss record or how deep I think they can go in the playoffs? Alan, here's the thing. This is a great point. I'm not even going to go full screen here just to talk this through quick. He's a 7-footer who doesn't shoot at the rim. I'm done watching the push shots. I'm done watching the floaters. I'm done watching him play off of 1 foot like he's a guard. Okay, you're not Trae Young. You're not Darius Garland. You're not Tyrese Halliburton. Stop shooting floaters. You're 7 feet tall. Thank you for making the point for me. And if he doesn't shoot threes at a high level in the playoffs and he doesn't get to the rim at a high level in the playoffs, well, you see what happens to him in the playoffs. He doesn't perform like a max player. Jaden here says, what does this mean for the Trailblazers now? Could Orlando still be a good trading candidate? Orlando will not be in on Simons. Orlando is definitely out on that. Logan says, hit the like button. You guys heard him. Brooklyn says, what do you think Cam Johnson going for? I think Cam Johnson will be in a package for a top 10 pick where Brooklyn gives up a couple assets back. That's what I think the most likely thing is there. Reginald here says Orlando should have gone for LaMelo Ball. I mean, kind of. LaMelo would have given them an elite pick and roll player, but I mean, Alan, the nice thing is, well, first of all, there wasn't much to watch this postseason for the Grizzlies. They only played 4 games because they got destroyed. And I watched all 4 of them. And I watched, probably 40 games in the regular season. So I'm sorry for not believing in Jaren. And I tweeted this back in December, and Grizzlies fans got mad at me and said that I was ludicrous for saying the Grizzlies weren't contenders, and then they didn't win a playoff game this year. So Josh says the 2026 pick swap of Phoenix, Washington tells me they're blowing up the squad. I mean, well, the thing is, for the Grizzlies, they don't have to blow up the squad. That pick is still going to be a valuable pick for them either way. So Big Toe says, what do you think about a Memphis KD trade or maybe Jaylen Brown? I think the Grizzlies are not done yet this offseason. I definitely think that they are in position to strike for somebody. That 2026 Phoenix asset might be a good one to trade back to the Suns for Durant if they want to go that way, or if they want to go with one of the other routes of targeting a Jaylen Brown or a bigger kind of star player, maybe even Giannis if they really want to extend that far. That would be the type of deal that could really change this team, giving them either a very dynamic scoring wing or an elite 4. Like a Giannis, who is a top 3 player in the world. So Becca here says, what other trades are expected in the coming days? We are anxiously awaiting a Kevin Durant trade, of course. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. 400 people watching live. Isalo has his idea how a team should be with the picks. They're reconfiguring to that Euroball vision. I mean, you look at what Darko Rajakovic is doing in Toronto, too. I mean, you can build a team that way, but EuroLeague play style is not the same here, and I wouldn't argue it's better. So, I do really like a lot of the creativity, the play design, all that kind of stuff. Some of the stuff that I wish the NBA was better at in general. But this is exactly my point, Alan. This is why trading Desmond Bane's not a bad thing for the Grizzlies. I don't understand why you're all upset either, because I think the Grizzlies fleeced the Magic today. I think the Grizzlies did really well. I don't understand why you're so salty in the chat, but this is the whole point. This is why I'm pretty low on Jaren Jackson Jr. The Grizzlies had a massive lead with Ja. Ja goes down. No one else on the team can dribble the ball, and they lose. So you're telling me, well, Jaren Jackson's a 7-footer, shouldn't be a perimeter player. He spends most of his time on the perimeter, and he can't rebound enough to be a 5. So there you go. That's the problem here. I think it all depends if the Magic makes another move. We could still trade 25 and move off the contracts of Jet, Harris, and possibly Isaac, possibly even Goga. there are still possibilities, I think. I mean, we'll see what happens. The nice thing is Isaac's contract's not fully guaranteed long-term. Jet's contract is definitely movable. Harris has a team option, so Josh here says, I'm low on Ja. IMO, they should trade him. I mean, Ja's their best player. Ja's been their best player, and it's not even close. The issue is they don't have enough good players around Ja to fit him, and then they drafted a post-up big man at number 9 last year. And this was the most obvious long-term problem that they were going to experience, is they, for some reason, don't want to put dynamic shooting around him. They want to put 2 bigs who don't really shoot the ball and aren't elite at the rim either. So it's just, I don't know. Angela, thank you for sending tweets. I'll make sure to check them here at some point. EF Hutton says, that's why I think he fits great with Alpi. If you're talking about Jaren, I mean, I think Jaren would fit pretty well with a bunch of different bigs around the league. Jaren's a good player. It's just he has some pretty significant flaws when it comes to playoff basketball that I think you need the right team pieces around to make work. And Memphis isn't that team right now, in my opinion. So Brooklyn here says, who do you think Brooklyn picking at number 8? It depends on who's there for them. I like Malawatch for them. Jeremiah Fears that's probably the floor for Fears is 8. Honestly, I don't think he'll go lower than that. Chris here says, how about adding Dennis Schroeder as a second point guard? Are you talking about Orlando, Chris? I think Schroeder's going to stay in Detroit, to be honest with you. Yes, Alan. I mean, yes, but the whole point is they lost that game. Bragging about being up is crazy. I'm not going to lie. Pep says Jalen Well is going to take Bane's spot. We're still going to be I think Memphis is going to be fine without Bane if they just keep everyone there. But I do think for them, like, if they do decide to break it up, they have a great head start on a long-term successful rebuild with all the assets that they've gotten here. Sherwin says Memphis should trade also for Gritty Dick to form Big 3. BTB says bring King Kong to Brooklyn. Matthew says, I think Knipple goes 8 to the Nets. I definitely think Khan would be very good for them. Tyrese choke emoji. Oh, man. True Sports Live, welcome to the stream, says, I honestly don't like this a ton for Orlando. Ceiling is probably a conference finals appearance, plus the fact that they'll be paying a lot. I don't see this team making the finals the next couple of years. I mean, who knows? Like, I think, with the parity in the league right now, they definitely could be, like, in that conversation. You just need 1 or 2 things to go right for you. Maybe the team you're facing, maybe their star player sprains his ankle. Maybe this happens. Maybe that happens, right? Maybe, you can capitalize on situational occurrences. So it's hard to say that they for sure won't. But when it comes to would I bet on them or the field making the finals over the next 2-3 years, I would definitely bet the field. So I agree with your perspective there. American Cheese says, do you think there is going to be a fire sale in Memphis and will Orlando make another trade for a point guard? Orlando's not going to make another big trade. Orlando's not going to get another point guard. I don't think. I mean, I think that they're betting on Boncaro, Wagner, and Suggs being the primary ball handlers around Bane. So we'll see. KDC says, and I don't ultimately expect Memphis to go full fire sale, but I wouldn't hate it if they did. KDC says KCP kind of under-delivered for the Magic. Yeah, he definitely did. I think for the Grizzlies, it's more of an interim, but Grizzlies can move around more with Bane off the books. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is the thing. I actually think KCP, like, a little bit of like a revival opportunity for him here. He had a really bad season for Orlando. Really bad. And I think hopefully going to Memphis can be a bounce back opportunity for him too. Eagle here says, as a Magic fan, what are we doing? You're spending a lot of money for your guys' roster, that's for sure. I have some pretty significant concerns with that. Rose rule for Mobley and Super Max for Donovan. If Paulo makes all NBA these numbers grow. So, like, this is the issue is, like, you can look at it this way and say, well, the Cavs are paying way more. Yeah, the Cavs have better players. I'm sorry, but Evan Mobley was DPOY. Donovan Mitchell would be the Magic's best player. Like, it's not – comparing them to one of the most expensive teams in the league is probably not the best way to go about it. Who is the best player in the league that you think absolutely has to go to a different team? Angelo wants to know. I mean, LaMelo going to a different team would be good for him, I think. Angelo also says KD should go back with Golden State. Angelo, thanks for the tweets. I think an undersold story is how little player capital they gave up in this trade. KCP and Cole Anthony's contracts still have Wagner, Isaac, Harris contracts to include in the deal. Also, Anthony Black's growth on his rookie deal and Goga's production relative to contract helps. I mean, yes, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like what Latif just said here too is what I was just saying. They just have worse players. So I don't know. I think Orlando's going to win a lot of games, but I have some significant concerns about them. Brooklyn Go Crazy says, do you like Noah Senge in Brooklyn? I think in Fernandez's offense, he could work pretty well, yeah, as a play finisher. Corey says, well, to be fair, the reason we drafted Zach Edey last year was because we desperately needed a big who could rebound. I mean, yes, but this is like, I mean, it's kind of funny because you say this and it's like, oh, that's another thing that, Steven Adams was really good at. They could have just kept Steven Adams and not spent a top 10 pick on a center to rebound the ball. They could have drafted something else. They could have drafted Matas Buzelis. It's not even that Zach Edey's terrible. Zach Edey's going to be a fine player in the NBA, but they had Steven Adams, who just got extended yesterday by the Rockets. So Cadillac says the Magic should sign me. I can handle the rock a little at 24-hour fitness. You guys heard it. Orlando's got a new point guard coming in. Easy says you don't watch basketball if you think Suggs can't play the point guard position. I mean, Suggs was kind of a point guard at Gonzaga. It's not that Suggs can't be point guard. It's just he's probably not like a true standard full-time point guard. But I think, again, the bet for Orlando, like I said, was that they're going to split the ball handling across four guys. Bane will handle a bit. Suggs will handle a bit. Boncaro, Wagner, they'll both handle the rock. BTB says, there goes my Jace Richardson to the Magic in my mocks. Yep, that's no longer going on. Muhammad says, so Memphis sacrifices Bane in order to extend Jaren Jackson Jr. Brutal business. I mean, I don't think it's just sacrificing Bane. This is, hey, we got a lot of picks for Bane. Let's do it. Matthew Gilliam here says, my trade prediction, Cam Johnson in 19 and 26 or 27 to the Rockets, and Nets keep 26 or 27 and trade up to 10, and KD in 29 to the Spurs. And Suns get Devin Vassell, 14, Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sohan. Matthew, thanks for sending your trade predictions in the chat. Appreciate you guys a ton for watching. Mel says, I think it's a good deal. This is a deep playoff move. Desmond Bane free of the John Morant business. I mean, we'll see what happens. KDC says, Rockets fans pretty happy that they were able to extend Adams at that price. I thought it was a very solid deal for them. So Leonardo says, now Orlando have to pray for health because one of those four ain't healthy. They won't have a good enough bench to compete. I mean, their bench is still good, I think, Leonardo. I just think that, I don't know. I just think they're going to run into issues unless Paulo, and I talked about this in my Magic offseason preview. I think the most important thing for Orlando, even over trades, over signings, is just internal development for Paulo and Franz. Those two guys just have to get better. They just both have to get better for them to be a legitimate team that will go deep in the playoffs. Views wants to know if I think this trade changes the price on Kevin Durant. No, I do not. I think this deal has no impact on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, except for maybe Memphis trying to get Durant, but I don't think it'll change the price. Brendan here says this offseason needs to be over already. It hasn't really started. It already feels weird. A lot of craziness this offseason for sure. A lot of insane stuff going on. Angelo says off topic, but who do you guys think is the best defensive player in the NBA draft this year? Yeah, comment down below who you guys think is the best defender in this year's class. Jonathan Cosme says this seems like a third or fourth option on their target list that the Magic went with. I mean, it might have been the top guy. They paid a pretty penny like it was the top guy. So I don't know. We'll see. 400 people watching live. Shout out to everyone here in the chat right now. I want to see how many likes we're up to Everyone smash that like button right now. I'm about to refresh on my end and see. We're at 81 likes. We can definitely get over that 100 mark. Just 19 of you wonderful people have to hit the like button. We will see what happens, but very excited to see how this all plays out this offseason. A lot of crazy stuff. Cody said Danny Wolf. That's a good one. Nick here says, I tagged you on Twitter on Mark's post. Time about Bobby Marks, I'm sure. Let me see if I can find it here. I'm not seeing it. Let's just go over to Bobby Marks and see what he had to say. New look Grizzlies. Here we go. Oh, new look Magic. So, yeah, look at this. This is where their projected salary is. $207.8 million is the second apron, and they are right up to that number. $205.5 million committed. So this is, again, the big concern there. Like, their team is good. Their team is very good. Don't get me wrong. But this is part of the problem there. So, part of the problem. Dirty Dancer feels like it was an offer Memphis couldn't refuse. That's what I agree with as well. James here says, now when Morant is the superstar, it's hard to notice those guys and what do they bring to this team. Iceman here says, hit the like button if you have a good soul. Appreciate you, Iceman. Thanks for hopping in the stream today. I always enjoy having you in here. Baked Toast says, what's the deal with the Phoenix pick? I heard somewhere that it was a weird swap and not just an unprotected. It's actually so Baked Toast, it's the worst of Washington or Phoenix. So let's say the Wizards get the 3rd pick and the Suns get the 7th pick next year. The Grizzlies would have the 7th pick via Phoenix. If it's the other way, and if the Suns somehow get the 1st pick and the Wizards have the 2nd pick, the Grizzlies would get the 2nd pick. So it's still a very good asset to have. Good Hair here says Behringer has the potential to be an amazing defender. He measured in really, really well with his anthro measurements, and he definitely can block shots at the rim. He's super athletic and super high block rate in the Adriatic League this year. Jimmy J here says Morant and Triple J, nice core. I mean, it's kind of lottery game. Like, we'll see what happens. Here's the thing. I do want to say this quick about Durant. If the Minnesota Timberwolves trade Rudy Gobert for Kevin Durant, the Suns are going to be a lot better. So we'll see what happens. Sanic, welcome to the stream, says, what's up, Utility Sports? I'm really surprised Jonathan Isaac wasn't included in this deal. Maybe they cut him. They could still use his salary in other trades as well. And, of course, there is some long-term financial flexibility because of his non-guaranteed portions of his contract. So Rachel here says Jazz have really benefited from a similar haul in the Donovan Mitchell trade. Sarcasm. I mean, yeah, like this is a good point too. Like, you need to still hit on picks and stuff, but I think one of the big differences for Memphis compared to Utah is Utah completely dismantled their roster. They traded both Gobert and Mitchell, whereas it looks like at this point Memphis is still going to be moving forward with Ja and Jaren. So Shai here wants to know if Vucevic is getting traded. I still don't really expect him to. I've tried looking at deals with Golden State especially. It's just hard to make the money work there. The Warriors, they don't have multiple guys that you could really include unless they do something like a Kuminga sign and trade, which is probably their best bet to getting Nikola Vucevic, a sign and trade of Kuminga to Chicago. But I don't know. It's kind of tricky. Cadillac says, dude, that would be a home run for the Suns. Actually, if they can get Gobert in one pick, they're just better. Well, the thing is with salaries too, like Dillingham might have to be included. You might have to see someone like Mike Conley or Dante DiVincenzo included. If they get DiVincenzo and Dillingham and Gobert, it's a fleece. It's a fleece. So Dirty Dancer says the KCP contract was so toxic, it might have been worth 2 picks to get off of it. I disagree with that. Now, listen, KCP was not good with the Magic at all. Like, he did not play well, but he only has 2 years left on his deal, and one of them is a player option. So it's like, I mean, it's not a good contract, but at $21 million, like, he was making 14% of the cap this year. It's not an untenable salary to hold on to. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but that was my perspective on that. Appreciate you guys all so much for watching. Let's spam some W's in the chat for a W chat. You guys are all awesome. Appreciate you guys a ton. Let's throw some W's in there for you guys. You guys all deserve it a ton. Shy says that means Kobe White is safe on my Bulls. Probably. I think he'll probably be staying there in Chicago. Now, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, so you never know what's going to happen. But love seeing those W's fly in. Baked Toast, Anthony, Brian, Jans, thank you so much for the W's. Appreciate you guys all being in here today. Jonathan Cosme says, would Boston have taken that deal from Orlando? Talking about it depends on which player. I mean, Orlando trading with Boston would have been definitely interesting. Vaders, thank you for the W, throwing that in there. King Nacho throws in the W. PJ Cruz says Trey Murphy to the Pistons. That would be very awesome for Detroit. Trey Murphy's a really good player. Nick and Dance, appreciate you. One of the moderators here. He's an absolute legend. Mel throws in the W. American Cheese. Jan says, do you think my Raptors have a shot at KD? I do, but I don't think they should take it. I do not think Toronto should go after Kevin Durant. I really don't. Easy says Isaac will be kept. He's valuable as a defender. This year he gained weight, which was a negative outcome. He's going to lose that this year. I think the biggest thing is, like, for a 12 to 14 minute per game guy, he's super useful. Super useful. Now, is he getting paid too much for a 12 to 14 minute per game guy? Yes. But those 12 minutes are some of the best defensive minutes in the entire league. So a guy like Mark Williams elevates this team in so many ways. You have another big man who can play rim protect and get rebounds and run the court with Morant. I do think like a fast, athletic big would be very nice in Memphis, James. I do think that's a good point. Reginald here says giving up 4 picks plus Cole and KCP for Bane is crazy. What a poor trade. I wouldn't really worry too much about Cole Anthony and KCP in the deal, but the 4 picks is obviously insane, like you're saying there. I am a Mavs fan, yes, but I like the NBA. I watch the entire NBA more than anything. So the Cadillac says the second apron might just screw the Magic now. I think that's going to be the long-term concern. Brendan Sutherland says, breaking news, New York Knicks ask Utility Sports permission to interview Sheldon for the head coaching job. We're firmly denied for not allowing me pipe. Brendan, appreciate you. I mean, if the Knicks are looking, I wouldn't mind. I do have like a 90% win percentage as a high school head coach. So, you know, we do all the winning around here. LPF says, looks like all that Simon's talk to the Magic was false news. I mean, it might not have been. They might have been having like legitimate conversations. Clearly, Orlando was looking around for trades. So it depends. But clearly, they decided that going the Bane route was better for them. So this definitely is a trade of all time. But realistically, how much value were those picks going to be worth? I mean, the picks I think were going to be. Picks are always valuable, even if you're not the one making the draft picks with them. You can use them for other trades, and you can branch out your roster. Like, look at what I think Boston's a really good example of making smart trades with draft picks. Like, they gave up some assets to get Drew Holiday. They gave up, 1 first and a swap for Derek White. Those 2 deals were massive and instrumental for them winning a title. Memphis has always made some weird trades with their picks. They used a pick this year to salary dump Marcus Smart, who they gave up 2 firsts for a few years ago with Boston to get Porzingis to Boston, which was crazy. That was still, I never understood that trade really. For Washington, I didn't love it, and I didn't like it much for Memphis at the time. I thought it was okay for them, but the Smart thing just didn't work out as well as I was hoping. We'll see what happens. Appreciate you guys all so much for watching. I mean, Bane is a really good player. I don't think anyone's saying Bane's not really good. He's just, is he worth 4 first good? That's kind of the question. Easy says, I can see Magic getting Royce O'Neal, Duncan Robinson, or Jordan Clarkson. Well, Duncan makes $19 million, so it'll be kind of hard to get him. Clarkson's definitely a possibility, but I don't know. I don't think that they should want Jordan Clarkson, to be honest with you. Sanic here says, Suns, Wolves, Nets trade idea. Suns get Rudy, Dante, Dillingham. Nets get Julius Randle, Grayson Allen first. Wolves get Kevin Durant, Nick Claxton. I don't hate that. Issue here for Phoenix is they can't. Well, I guess it would be a straight Grayson salary dump, huh? Into cap space. It's not terrible. Not terrible at all. Angelo says, hit that subscribe button. I don't see Gobert getting traded. Killian Hayes is not going to Orlando. Everyone overpays now. People got to understand this is what it is now. Appreciate everyone for watching. We have almost 400 people in here live. I'm going to go check how many likes we're up to now as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Over 119 likes at this point. You guys are absolute legends. Have been live for almost an hour. Probably going to wrap the stream up here. Just wanted to give my thoughts, my overall trade grades and everything. We will go back over to the profile here just so we can recap everything. I think, again, this is the big concern for me here is the extent of how much money Orlando is likely to commit to this roster, and specifically these four guys, Franz, Paulo, Bane, and Suggs over the next 4 seasons. They're going to be really, really good as a team. They're going to win a lot of games. I think this team is very easily going to win 50 games next season. But I don't know. I'm just a little concerned at the price they paid. The 2026 Phoenix first is a swap worst choice between Washington and Phoenix, but very likely going to be still a very useful asset to own. I think overall the haul here is very, very good for the Memphis Grizzlies, who I gave an A+, and I gave Orlando a C. I think Bane fits pretty decently there, gives them some real shooting and fits off of their other star players well. It's just a lot of money to commit, man. It's a lot of money. Dirty Dancer says the new meta is trying to keep talent and overpaying picks in age of aprons where getting players in-house is harder. I mean, kind of, yes, but at the same time, like, we'll see how Boston kind of dances through this here with their own CBA. With their own CBA issues, because I think you're forgetting that draft picks get frozen. So 2033, like if the Magic are a second apron team this year, they can't trade their 2033 pick and it gets moved to the very back of that round. So you might look at, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years down the road, this team ends up being in real trouble because if they're, if they age out, if something doesn't go right, or they get injured at the wrong time, they could win 18 games in a season, be unable to trade their pick, and have the last pick in the first round. It's scary. It's really scary. So, I don't know. It's Ruan says C is crazy, man. The only reason it's a C, like, I like Bane there. I just don't like the amount of money. And this is what I said here. The financial strain is the reason this is a C. Okay, it's not because Bane's not good. It's not because the Magic aren't good. It's because there's a real financial difficulty here that comes long term because of this. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the stream today. I've been live for just about an hour. Really do appreciate you guys all so much. If you're not following over on Twitter, make sure to go do so right now. Link is in the description. Appreciate you guys all a ton. Yeah, if Franz would have made All NBA this year, that would have been disastrous. I think that's a good point by Stevie there. Really do appreciate you guys. Remember, more draft content coming out soon. I had a video come out today as well. What was a Toronto Raptors offseason preview. So if you want to hear my thoughts on Toronto, go check that out. Should be the most recent video up on the channel. Appreciate you guys all so much for watching, though. Thanks, everyone. And we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.